Electrocast.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you.
I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or Whatever Movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris. I'm here with my older brother,
Wesley.
Today we're talking a movie from 2010, or is it 2025?
Nope.
How to Train Your Dragon.
It is. It's both. It's the same Toothless. It's the same director and Dean DeBlois. It's this, well, not the same cast except for Gerard Butler as Stoic. Speaking of which, Scottish brogue. And it's hard to say my name in Scottish. Wesley. It sounds dumb. You know, How to Train Your Dragon 2010 is like an old movie now. It's like, oh, that was the original way back when. There were 2 sequels, a host of TV shows, and the 2025 live action remake, also directed by Dean DeBlois.
Well, he's keeping the franchise alive, but you're hella loyal to the OG 2010 animated version.
Absolutely am, and I've got nothing against the live action version, but when Iris and I are talking about something fun and family friendly that we can discuss in this, the beginning of holiday season, I guess, Thanksgiving or whatever, I know the 2010 version so well that it doesn't seem necessary.
So in advance of this recording, you gave me what instruction?
Don't be lame. I don't know. What did I say?
You said not the 2025 busted version, the 2010 original version.
I don't know that I said busted.
And so what did I do? I watched the 2025 version, Wes, because I'm a little sister and because I had never seen it. Brian took the girls to see How to Train Your Dragon live action in the theaters without me. And so when I turned it on, the 2025 live action version at home, Brian's like, I gotta work, but I'll watch 5 minutes. And then he stayed for the entire movie, saying at the end that it's kind of like Back to the Future. If it's on, you can't not watch it.
I lost a thread. Which one?
2025. Well, see, this is the point. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what version it is, because if one of them is on, and because the story is essentially similar, and because they both have their own artistic merit, whatever one is on, you're going to watch.
Okay, that's fair enough. But the original, I will admit, does look just a tad dated now, because 2010, they were faced with limitations. Despite all the wonderful things they had going for them, looks a little bit cheap now because it's old.
So why is How to Train Your Dragon in your top 10?
Maybe it's because I want to be contrary. Lilo and Stitch was not a favorite with the new brass at Disney who were Pixar brass, became Disney brass. And Pixar is more in keeping with How to Train Your Dragon, which is computer animation. They were like, this hand-drawn watercolor Lilo and Stitch, we don't really like this. They didn't promote it. It was kind of the underdog or the black sheep of Disney animation at the time. I mean, she does punch Mildred in the face, and there's all kinds of, Stitch is pretty mean. And so they kind of rejected it. And I think that Sanders and DeBlois kind of took that a little bit personally. And also they were considered, the kind of fringe guys. So they left Disney to go to DreamWorks. What was my point? Oh, because How to Train Your Dragon came up against Toy Story 3. And I got nothing against Toy Story, but everyone's like, Toy Story 3. And it won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, and people loved it, and people cried. And I got nothing, but I was over here loving How to Train Your Dragon. This is the era when I watched movies in the theater. I watched Edge of Tomorrow like 5 times, and I watched How to Train Your Dragon at least 5 times in the theater. I just had so much fun, and it was so, I guess, unlike Disney at the time, maybe more like Pixar, but DreamWorks had its own flavor. Never a huge fan of Shrek or DreamWorks animation in general, but this one super stuck with me.
Is it because Toothless is just so cool?
So cool. I wonder, because Toothless is obviously cat-like in a lot of respects. There's also
dog-like.
So he's most based on a panther that was a screensaver on one of the animated, but he was more dog-like originally. But his slinkiness is so feline, and the almond-shaped eyes and stuff, it always read like a cat to me. And correspondingly, shelters reported sellout adoptions of their black cats. With reports that they were adopted to be named Toothless. More cat-like, it seemed to me, but did have dog, did have salamander, and a little bit of Stitch, both in mannerisms and facial features.
Yeah, I guess I can see the cat now that you mention it. It's the panting and like the stomping of the leg when he's scratched and stuff that's very dog-like. But temperament-wise, he's all cat. He can be your bestie, or in the next moment he can attack you, which is very... which is very cat-like. But I'm also thinking that part of the appeal of How to Train Your Dragon is just how badass that queen dragon is. When that thing comes out of the ground or out of the cave, the nest, whatever you call it, it's kind of mind-blowing. Like, it's kind of T-Rex breaking through the electric fences level awesome.
Yeah, that dragon has a name. It was like the Thunder Queen or something, or the Queen of Damnation, or the Damn Queen or something. But I agree, it's just so fantastically bigger than any of the dragons. Like, the big scary dragons for most of this movie are morsels in its mouth that it takes up in one chomp. Right? It's flying with the frickin' wings on fire at one point, and it's just so massive with that club tail. That thing was built for destruction, not sitting on a nest while other dragons bring it food.
So you're saying that the movie actually unleashes the potential of the Queen of Damnation or whatever? I
think of both, in both the animated and the live action. But yes, just terrifying in a way that really, in animation scale-wise, is maybe the only way that would work. Just unleashing this absurdly large dragon. When we've been in this scale for the entire movie, we changed to a completely different scale.
Yeah, which makes it feel so epic. But then in appropriate animated family movie fashion, the Vikings are never fazed, right? And because they're not scared, we're not scared.
Well, I think stoic is appropriately in awe. The typically stoic is like, Odin help us. And he knows it's going to be super bad. But, it's their lot in life. It's not a lot, but it's their life. And they have scars to show, which they're very proud of, and missing limbs are like status symbols. So fighting the big dragon maybe was the culmination of his life's work of fighting dragons. And then ultimately, you're probably going to lose, but you're dauntless in your pursuit of glory. I wonder... Cressida Cowell, who grew up on a remote island and envisioned dragons and Vikings and stuff, which ultimately led to her creating the How to Train Your Dragon book series. I'm not sure if she's Scottish. Gerard Butler is Scottish. I think Craig Ferguson is Irish, Scottish. I don't know. I don't know if this is cultural appropriation. I don't know if the mom's half a breastplate helmet thing is offensive.
Thanks,
or
Dad, for the breast hat.
They're entirely Caucasian in the anime 2010. By 2025, Astrid is a person of color. America Ferrera voiced, is a person of color. But it's more diverse in 2025 for the live action remake. But I wonder how Nordic people feel about this representation of dragons and Vikings, and how this, dragons being fictional, oh, that's part of their culture. It's like, maybe not exactly. Remember, I don't know, maybe you're too young for Street Fighter 2, but they had all the fighters.
Hadouken.
Right, but they had the sumo guy from Japan and Chun-Li from China, but the Brazilian guy was like a green monster with red hair. Blanca, I think his name was. And it's like, how many people in Brazil are playing Street Fighter 2? I don't know how Scottish people regard How to Train Your Dragon. I guess fine, because who is a more prominent Scotsman now that we don't have Sean Connery than Gerard Butler?
Wait, so did you refuse to watch the 2025
No,
live
not
action?
at all. Who am I, the sneak? No, the sneak watched How to Train Your Dragon, refuses, no matter what we say, to see the live action Lilo and Stitch. She's weird.
But the live action Lilo and Stitch sucked, though.
No, did it suck? Or was it our position that it changed enough to warrant at least a look?
I didn't even like the original, so
you can't say that you like How to Train Your Dragon if you say you don't like Lilo and Stitch.
Why not?
This is Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders. This is their baby. Stitch was their baby. Stitch walked so that Toothless could fly.
Can we talk a little bit about the casting for the 25 then?
Sure.
Is it Mason Thames?
Sure.
Mason Thames was great. He was really great. And it's a big movie for this kid to carry. I mean, and by kid, you know what I mean.
I don't know what the third movie is, but do you know that Mason Thames or whatever is like only the second person to be in 3 #1 movies in a single year?
Really?
Yeah. He was in How to Train Your Dragon live action. He was in Black Phone 2, and he was in something else. And I was like, whoa, this kid he's really doing it.
Whoa. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot less gushing than I imagined for this episode.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet. I'm ready and postured to be defensive about How to Train Your Dragon should you come at it.
Why would I come after
because
How
for
to Train Your
some
Dragon?
reason you're like, American Werewolf in London sucked. Lilo and Stitch sucked. And I'm like, you're crazy. So I'm all ready. Bring it.
Okay, let me find a complaint. The dragon's turn when Hiccup recruits his, very special team for a very special mission, the dragons all turn a little bit too quickly.
Well, so we've learned the ins and outs and how to control them, how to find not the humanity, the draganity in their more gentle nature. They're under the spell of the big bad queen, of the Red Queen. And once he realizes that they're just there for food and they're otherwise fairly harmless as long as they don't attack, and he finds the ins and outs, like this weed, like catnip, makes them go all fuzzy, and you hit that pressure point and they fall down and they go to sleep and stuff, then he dragonizes them for whatever that's worth, and he realizes they're just animals who are hungry and want to be loved. It wasn't like they made a turn, it's just a facade fell away.
So the movie is bookended with this VO where he talks about pests that turn into pets. He says the word dragons, but it means something completely different by the end. Do you feel like that's structurally really great storytelling or kind of heavy-handed?
It's a little heavy-handed in a children's storybook kind of way. This is the world. This is what my world is like. And then at the end, it's the same thing, but your perception of the world has changed. It's heavy-handed in that way, which is this is a movie based on a series of children's books, albeit with many liberties taken. With Cressida Cowell's approval, they changed Toothless around completely. I don't know that I would even call this a kid's movie necessarily. I don't think that Lilo and Stitch is particularly fit for the toddler set, but who knows? A little bit slightly headier themes. And the dragons are scary and killing, murdering dragons is Stoic's MO. He's murdered hundreds of them or whatever, and they're all talking about killing, and I don't know if it's meant for kids, but it does have a kids level bookend. Which might maybe not lazy, just convenient. It's like they always had that storytelling device in place when the story was a concept, and when they fleshed it out, and when they had more adult themes and more scary action, maybe even. I mean, that last dragon fight is terrifying, and it ends in that dragon's death. He's not foiled by those pesky kids, you know what I mean? That dragon is dead and drives himself into the earth in a ball of flames. But and then I think maybe that device just kind of like, well, it was there from the beginning. We just left it. It's fine.
Do you get emotional when Stoic finally accepts Hiccup for who he is? Or do you feel like Stoic maybe owed Hiccup more of an apology?
Our dad wasn't like bonding with our dad for me wasn't like this monumental thing. I didn't seek his approval. If he disapproved of me, he didn't really say so. So the bond this is a central theme of this movie, but it was a little bit lost on me. I didn't care as much. For some reason, you know what makes me most emotional in How to Train Your Dragon, which is dumb? Toothless climbs up really, really high. He gets up so high that when he pauses his forward momentum, gravity takes over in that gravity disappears, right? Hiccup becomes unhitched and their whole plan falls apart. He gets hit by one of Toothless's wings and he's out cold and they're both plummeting, and what are they going to do? He finally regains consciousness, gets back on the dragon, and he pulls up as they're headed for the water at breakneck speed. And you can see the terror on his face, on both of their faces. And then those contrails come off of Toothless's wings as he's plummeting toward the water. That always, like, I feel a stirring in my chest. For some reason, that moment is so thrilling and Top Gun Maverick before there was a Top Gun Maverick and emotional. That's the triggering emotional moment for me in this movie. And that's weird. It's not the father-son dynamic.
Well, is it when he actually pulls up from the water, or is it when they're plummeting to their death?
It's when he pulls up and the score is soaring and they just make it, and I'm like, da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, it's so good.
How to Train Your Dragon, the original Top Gun Maverick. Watching it 15 years later, did you come with any sort of distance where you could have perspective on how this appeals to you maybe differently as an older adult, as an old man, dare I say?
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy red bumps start on my arm, then my back, sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere, and it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Remember those movies that were in vogue for a while, like A Scanner Darkly, where they just animate over human figures? And so it's like animation, but it's tracking live action. You remember those?
Yeah.
So this is like the opposite of that. Toothless is the same with updated graphics. Like Toothless and Stitch, both in 2025, which is weird, by these two filmmakers who kind of separated to helm both of those projects respectively. Toothless looks the same, just better graphics, and Stitch looks exactly the same. Whereas the main characters, the kids and Stoic, are replaced by real actors. It just seems like they took away the animation. It's fine. It's the same thing. But it looks like they were covered in the animation and now it's gone. And like What's His Nuts does is great as Hiccup. Gerard Butler reprises his role and actually puts on the beard and the helmet.
He looks huge.
Yeah, he's great. You know that Stoic, as presented in 2010's animated How to Train Your Dragon, is 7'2"?
And Gerard Butler is how tall?
I don't know.
Hold on. I'm going to find, I have it. Here it is. Paisley, Scotland, 1969. 6'2".
Yeah, so 69, and that was 2010. So he was, 40 when he played Stoic the first time? Maybe a little bit, because animation takes a long time, maybe a little bit younger. But for the live action, he was now appropriately aged to play elder, not statesman. He's Stoic.
He's
the head Viking. And,
he's the chief or whatever.
Appropriately aged to play Hiccup's very commanding, kind of scary father. In real life.
They did some scale stuff because it's insane how big they make him look. And it's not like tiny head on a big body. It looks like big and proportionally big. I think they must have done some forced perspective stuff with him.
Oh, the beard. A lot of textures for this movie, I think, notably. Monsters, Inc. had the textures for the fur, was a big innovation for Pixar. And his shoulder mantle thing, his fur mantle, and his beard are completely different hairs and different textures. So that was a lot of Stoic's character, the presentation of his hair and fur. So How to Train Your Dragon, do you think that people who don't have pets took to this movie as well? I guess the same would apply for Lilo and Stitch. But if you don't have that's so like my pet. Oh, I see those mannerisms every day. That's so cute. Do you think that people would still connect in such a way? Like, I'm overjoyed. One of my primary joys in life is seeing dogs with their heads out of car windows.
Aww.
Like, it's probably dangerous and stuff. But when I'm driving down the road, second only to seeing a DeLorean in the wild, a fully mocked up time machine, seeing dogs with their heads out the window makes me so happy. But I don't even have dogs. But if you're watching How to Train Your Dragon and you don't have a pet, are you like, that was cute or whatever? Or do you really connect?
I'm assuming that one would derive more joy from How to Train Your Dragon if one could project their pet or their pet experience onto Toothless and the other dragons. I mean, isn't this what you do with all monsters and aliens and other creatures, is to just make them dog-like and then they're instantly relatable and lovable?
I think so. Even with movies today, like Call of the Wild, which actually Chris Sanders, who all co-wrote and co-directed Lilo and Stitch, did, and The Wild Robot later, he directed Call of the Wild with Harrison Ford and a CG dog. The Superman this year was a CG dog. I don't think people connect with those dogs. I don't. The Uncanny Valley is populated for me with pets. So I wonder, yes, if you make it dog-like, especially for an animated character, or pet-like, unless they're supposed to be actual dogs. And when they're CG, it looks horrible, and I hate it.
Yeah, you're referring to Crypto in 2025's Superman, our discussion for which is available at orwhatevermovies.com, wherever you get podcasts.
And when it's flying and being heroic, I got no problem with Crypto. When you're trying to convince me it's otherwise typically a normal dog, no.
Okay.
What else do I got? Jay Baruchel's first voiceover role, his first animated feature, and he's done 3 movies. So this character has come to define his voice acting. Quite a cast. America Ferrera, I guess. Jonah Hill. Kristen Wiig is in there. For one of the twins, Rough Nut and Tough Nut. Pretty good cast in that regard. But this is like Back to the Future in another way, in that the purity of the first movie speaks to me. And while I saw the sequels for sure, I only saw them once, when Hiccup begins to look suspiciously like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, wait, what?
Oh, dude. So this is unique in that Dean DeBlois said, who directed all of these, co-directed the originals and directed the 2025 live action version, said, I'm coming back. I'll do the sequel if it's part of a trilogy. And this just can't be a fan service sequel. We're actually moving this forward. So in the same way that Moana aged, and I think in Moana 2, I said that Disney took a page from How to Train Your Dragon in that they allowed the character to change, to visibly age. Hiccup is noticeably older, and in the third one has a full-on Jake Gyllenhaal beard. which is crazy. And so in that way, this was daring. And like Empire Strikes Back, it's a different movie and less for kids as Hiccup becomes an adult. So that's noteworthy. But the purity of the original film really speaks to me. I'm continually drawn to the innocence and beauty of How to Train Your Dragon, the first one. The lighting, they got the legendary, of Coen Brothers fame and other great movies, Roger Deakins, to sit with them and talk to them about how to light this thing. So when Hiccup is talking to Stoic and they're in their quarters, it's like wood housing with like maybe fur or mud to pack in the cracks of their Viking town hall. It's lit by the fire in the corner and maybe by candles and stuff. And Toothless is very dark in the beginning. The original battle where they see the Night Fury go by and he blasts their tower and stuff is not bright and fuzzy. And it's all due to Roger Deakins, who's a master of cinematography and a real get for an animated film. It's like Spaceballs, I guess, where you're like Spaceballs, the sci-fi comedy. And they used some shots, a lot of props, and a lot of the same special effects team as Star Wars. And you're like, that's why that movie holds up, is because it looks so good for a cheesy sci-fi comedy. Having Roger Deakins in How to Train Your Dragon, I think made it last in spite of its CG limitations for the time. It's computer animation.
Not to discredit, of course, Gil Zimmerman, who was the actual cinematographer for the original and who is no stranger to all things animation. I mean, an impressive animated track record. But yes, when you get a cinematographical legend like Deakins to consult, it elevates stuff. It's a wonder that he didn't come back for 25, where they got Bill Pope. Also, no slouch.
For sure. But I do think that this was different. I mean, Toy Story 3 was all about its emotional drive. But How to Train Your Dragon was like the dark horse, and I was totally rooting for it, like the Canadian Blue Jays or whoever just lost to the big bad Dodgers.
You were rooting for Toronto? You live in LA.
I have nothing against the Dodgers. I don't care about baseball, but I do have something for the underdogs where the Blue Jay, who was it?
Yeah, Blue Jays.
They hadn't been to the World Series in 30 years. If they had won, they would have made Canadian movies about it. Against the big bad Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani, that would have been a huge thing. And they didn't, and that's sad. And so the Dodgers, who, are a legendary franchise and repeated, they're back-to-back champions. That's great for them and all of Los Angeles is happy. But I feel a little bit bad for Canada. You love this movie.
I really do.
And yet we haven't discussed it until now. This is in conjunction with the 2025 remake, which I really don't think is necessary because the virtues of the remake can be attributed to the first movie. I felt like this was better. But I've spent 15 years trying to convince people of the awesomeness of this movie, if not this franchise. I remember you being a little bit resistant, like the girls not being head over heels about Toothless.
Really? I mean, it was literally Paloma's second Halloween costume of her entire life.
Yeah, but she was 2. She doesn't care. You're steering that ship.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't even need that much fabric for a 2-year-old's Toothless costume. You just put her in a black bag and slap some eyes on her.
Yeah, I put her in a black onesie and then a black beanie with some eyes on it.
So help me solidify this. Help me justify why we're talking, if not gushing, over How to Train Your Dragon.
I think because it's an awesome movie. It's really well structured, nonstop action with like just surprising emotional moments that kind of get me every time. It's such a testament to the movie that Brian wanders in, says he's going to watch 5 minutes, and then watches the entire thing, even with piles and piles of work waiting for him. It's because it sucks you in. It really expertly raises the stakes at the end where you start to really doubt if these characters can pull it off. And they do, triumphantly, and they're all happy, and he gestures to all of him, and he likes all of him, and you're like, aw.
Man, and Astrid even likes him when there's less of him, when they lop off the kid's leg. Man, I also like that this was the era of Disney and DreamWorks where music was out of fashion. This is like the Tangled kind of era, the last, before Frozen came back. There wasn't let's all pile into the Viking wagon to go and kill the spiky dragon. Like there wasn't none of that, which I really appreciated. So
that's why you love it. You love this because it's not a musical.
Because Pixar wasn't musical. And then it came back around and people are like, oh, we love this for a reason. And Disney likes to make money off of their musicals. And I got no problem with that. It's fine. I want to close with the theory. You remember we talked about all the conspiracy theories for multiple movies and how Indiana Jones didn't actually affect the course of events in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and all this stuff about, oh, maybe it was like this the whole time. Have you ever considered that Daniel LaRusso is the bad guy and Johnny is just trying to get his stuff together for his senior year? You know what I mean? My favorite current theory of How to Train Your Dragon is that Toothless was waiting and plotting the entire movie. And even though he saved him because he needed to prove himself to Stoic, who let him out of the restraints or whatever, that he bit off Hiccup's leg in retribution for Hiccup bringing him down and hurting his tail in the beginning. Got him, saved him, ate his leg in retribution so that they can be on equal footing moving forward and could have a fair relationship eye to eye.
How did he hurt his leg?
I have no idea.
How did it happen? He's falling in midair.
Right?
Well, how does his leg fall off?
Through a pillar of flame. Even if Toothless is fireproof, obviously, because he shoots fire or plasma or whatever, the heat would still be so intense that he would have burns on his body or whatever. Something happened. He lost that leg. And when Gobber sees him out of frame, he says, you brought him back. Well, most of him. You know what I mean? So the leg was gone. It wasn't mangled or crushed. That leg, when he landed, was already gone. How it happened, I don't know. Maybe Toothless swallowed it.
That would be very cat-like, don't you think?
Absolutely.
That would be something a cat would do.
I think it's been estimated that for all the loyalty and all the time you devote to your cats, once you die, if you're alone, they're still going to eat you within 3 hours. How to Train Your Dragon, I guess kind of a Thanksgiving movie. It's about bringing families together and accepting differences and all that crap. Good stuff, man. Maybe my favorite animated movie? Is that possible?
Wow. orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts. Let us know what you think about this movie favorite, 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com. Check out the Powers of Darkness podcast.
Shameless tie-in.
All 6 episodes available now. Thank you for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Iris, do you think Bram Stoker is the author of this lost Nordic version of Dracula?
A whole lot of people, myself included, have been tring to figure just that out.
Are they as obsessed as you are?
I think it's probably safe to say.
Check out the Powers of Darkness podcast from Or Whatever Movies.
Available October 2025.
Electricast. Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your hosts for the Candle Power Hour.
Electricast.